We are standing at the precipice of the greatest revelation in human history, the truth about who we are, where we come from, and everything that has ever been hidden from us is now preparing to break free from the shadows. For centuries, the world has been controlled by deception, but now the veils are lifting. The hidden forces that have manipulated humanity through secrecy and illusion have lost their grip, and the floodgates of disclosure are about to open. Welcome, everybody, to my Monday night Whitehead Alliance update. I am so happy to be here with you tonight. I have a special report regarding the flooding in Texas. It was a black hat operation, unfortunately. And I also want to talk a little bit more regarding the different phases, or we call it the final phase, but also the different phases in the white hat takedown of the cabal, as well as talk a little bit about what happened from behind the scenes regarding the big, beautiful bill. But let's start with the news regarding what's really happening in Texas and what really happened in Texas. Per one of the Galactic Jedi's request, Leah, the awakened starseed, asked me 2 days ago to actually research what happened in Texas. And boy, do I have some good information to share with you guys. So before I start with this update, I do want to welcome everyone that is in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I also want to welcome and extend gratitude to those that are going to watch it on the replay. Thank you so much for doing so. Now, a few announcements before I start my presentation. The first one is that I am excited about my meet and greet. I know I didn't get a chance to do a book tour last year, nor did I get a chance to do a book tour this year, but I am going to be holding a meet and greet, in-person lecture, Q&A, a chance to mingle with me for 5 hours at the Global Center, for Christ Consciousness in Sedona, Arizona, on the 3rd of August, 2025, which is coming up in about 4 weeks. So it's going to be on a Sunday from 1 o'clock Pacific time to 5 o'clock Pacific time. And the lecture, which is going to be mind-blowing, is going to start at 3 o'clock. But the book signing begins from 1 to 3. Okay, so I hope to see some of the Galactic Jedis there. It's going to be quite fascinating, very cosmic. And that's probably going to be the only in-person event I'm going to do this year, besides this other event that I'm going to do in December. And then, of course, the alien event that I do in Vegas every September. So any other announcements? Let's see. Oh, yeah, one more announcement. As a reminder, guys, I am going to be speaking in an online conference called the Galactic Conference, which is going to be on the 8/8 portal, August 8th. So I do put the link in the description for those that want to partake of this online webinar. And also, as a reminder, for those that are interested in detoxing your body from nanotech, graphene, metals, you name it, cleaning out your mitochondria so that the natural healing process of your body could take effect, there is this amazing holistic product called Folium that I've used and that I also suggest that, if you can, to get your hands on. Now, there are 3 of them. There is Folium PX, Folium Immuna, which is probably the strongest, I believe it is, and Folium Relax. All right, so Folium Immuna is probably, if you could only afford one right now, I would get Folium Immuna. That is the strongest one out of the 3 bottles. But if you could do all 3 and do it monthly, more power to you. Your body's going to love that. All right. And also, for those that want to mail me something, I do have a mailing address. It's 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B, box number 3015, Sedona, Arizona, 86366. All right. I think that's it with all the announcements. Let's get right into it. So, as you guys know, a catastrophic flash flood struck Kirk County, Texas, alongside the Guadalupe River late on July 4th, 2025, caused by torrential rainfall up to 6 feet in just a few hours. Well, this is what they wanted us to believe. But in a bit here, I'm going to share with you guys what the Alliance has reported regarding the situation. So the death toll, as reported, and The death toll in Kern County is about 59 people. All right. So far, they've said that about 59 people have died, including 21 children, with about 38 adults also confirmed dead. And in addition, about 10 more fatalities occurred elsewhere in the region. So according to the news, we are told that the at Camp Mystic, right, which was an all-girls summer camp on the river, did suffer several fatalities. Okay, so as the reports came in, 11 girls and one counselor remain missing, and I'll tell you guys why. All right, why they are missing from the site. Over 500, no, I'm sorry, over 850 people were rescued with massive response efforts involving local responders, helicopters, drones, and federal agencies, including, of course, those that are associated with the alliance, because FEMA didn't do anything. When does FEMA do anything when catastrophes like this happen? And of course, the U.S. Coast Guard. So, yeah, this occurred on July 4th in Kern County, Texas. And on the surface, it was supposed to be just another holiday weekend, right? Fireworks, barbecues, and laughter on the riverbanks. But underground, beneath the winding channels of the Guadalupe River, lay Site Echo, a data vault hidden since the Reagan era. It held encrypted archives linked to Project Orion, and I'll explain a little bit what Project Orion was, Operation Blacklight, and names long buried under celebrity personas that were associated with Combs, Diddy, Epstein, and then, of course, more information regarding the corruption that has been conducted by the Black Cube organization and group Groom Lake. Okay. So that night, the sky opened unnaturally fast. Apparently, unmarked vans had been spotted near Camp Avalon and Camp Mystic 3 hours before the first emergency alert. Locals dismissed them as supply vehicles until they vanished. Then, of course, the storm struck. So this was apparently a deep state operation, right? Clouds spiraled in impossible patterns. Rain fell not in sheets, but in walls. And what followed wasn't just weather, it was deployment, okay? A high altitude pressure weapon. They call it weather modification, right? Long denied by the Defense Meteorological Agency, had fired over south central Texas. And then witnesses said that the lightning flash was blue and not white, which tells you it was fabricated. Okay. So it looks less than 7 hours. So it took less, I'm sorry, than 7 hours to breach the vault. The floodwaters didn't just kill it, they targeted. Apparently, the White Hats were using an underground facility in that area. In addition to Cheyenne Mountain, that was one of their, you could say, main strongholds, which was attacked by the deep state. And as we dive deeper, guys, okay, let's dive deeper into what's really happening right now and why they did that, okay? So the storm wasn't just an act of nature, okay? It was a calculated, deliberate event orchestrated using weather modification technology to disseminate more than just the land. It targeted the hidden truths that were actually buried beneath. Okay. And so by the time the floodwaters began to recede, the foundations of the Site Echo were already lost. Submerged beneath the rolling currents of the Guadalupe River, the flood, a direct result of a weather modification system that had been in operation for over a decade. Okay. It was no accident. It was a cover-up, an intentional purge of classified data that would bring down the global elite. Okay. So at the heart of the facility were files, not just documents, right? And this explains why Trump said that there are no files, okay, that there were no, nothing linked to the Jeffrey Epstein. But that is not the case, okay, because that is not the real Trump. Again, the real Trump is operating from Cheyenne Mountain, okay? So they not only destroyed files, right? but entire databases that held secrets to the world's most influential and dangerous people, including those that were associated with Diddy, Epstein, and of course the cabal of high society and their most carefully guarded transactions. Okay. And a lot of that information involved blackmailing, transferring of little ones, right? And crimes beyond comprehension that were, again, stored there, and that the storm was meant to wash them, I guess, so that the alliance does not disclose this to the public. But unfortunately for the cabal, we have this thing called the Galactic Alliance that works with the Earth Alliance. They have all the documents as well, stored up in, of course, galactic ships. So this does not mean that the evidence that is going to disclose the truth about what's been going on, the truth about the corruption isn't happening anymore. Okay, they only destroyed the physical evidence that the Y hats had stored in their underground facility there. Okay, but the Galactics have duplicates. Okay, and one thing that also took place, okay, there was a straight out battle that took place. Okay, some of the Y hats that were operating there resisted what was happening. Unfortunately, some of them did die in the flood. A covert faction of insiders who spent years leaking the secrets of the powerful had long suspected something like this would happen, and they just didn't know when. Okay, and so as the first helicopter lights scanned the submerged remains of the site Echo, one of the Y hats, by the code name Agent Rock or Agent Rook, ROOK, code name, of course, watched in disbelief as his team scoured the debris. Okay, no, he actually. The best way to say it is this. So, as his team were able to look through the debris, he muttered under his breath that this can't be happening. That this is, we're too late. They couldn't save the documents from being flooded, okay, and being destroyed. So, the agent, the Y hat agent, Rook, had known that the flood was coming, okay? He actually had seen the signals in the cloud patterns and was briefed on the deployment of the weaponized weather from the last minute intel he received, okay? But what he didn't anticipate was the timing, okay? The flood had come faster than anyone expected. They haven't even had time to secure all the data. And so, in the moments before the storm broke, his team had actually been able to remotely access some of the files, decrypting key codes, retrieving a portion of the Epstein network files, but they hadn't known about the children at the camps and not the ones that they were planning to take. And yes, there is reports that a lot of vans showed up right before the flooding of those camps, and that explains why 21 children were all of a sudden missing. Okay, so let's talk about the lost children at Camp Mystic. So at Camp Mystic, a girl camp that was perched on the river's edge, had been an innocuous summer retreat until now. But what no one realized was that it was actually the perfect cover for a much darker operation. Vans had actually arrived long before the storm broke. And they weren't just camp supply trucks. They weren't emergency vehicles either, right? They were actually black op units. Black op units disguised as rescue teams ready to sweep in and abduct the young girls. Unfortunately, those who could be traced to the missing files that were tied to the Black Cube, the shadow organization that had orchestrated the Epstein network for years. Okay, so apparently the shadowy organization that has been hiding the truth about the Epstein files was known as the Black Cube. Okay, so there are code names for this. And they weren't the only ones, okay? Again, the Galactic Alliance, which is an interdimensional faction that had been silently working with the Y Hats for years, had their own interests in the mission. And because they do see what happens before it happens, they were able to actually make copies out of those documents, okay? So you could say that these corrupt elites using blackmail and pedophilia control using to control governments and powerful figures were actually part of a greater evil that transcended Earth. Okay, so this explains why humanity's governments, for centuries, were actually controlled by off-world entities. Okay, and the reason the Galactic Alliance needed to create duplicates, knowing that this day would happen, was because of the cosmic balance that these files actually threaten. Okay, if these files are not released, all right, it's going to cause, you could say, it's going to cause a disbalance in future timelines. So that is the reason why the Galactic Alliance had to intervene. And so their goal, the dark side, the cabal, what's left of them, their goal was to erase the memory of their crimes, destroy evidence of their dealings, and silence anyone who could actually expose them. So the flood was the perfect way to bury it. Okay, and along with the evidence, the children and the revolutionaries who sought to topple the system, were actually, again, some of the Whiteheads suffered casualties. Okay, so let's just say it like this: there was a resistance. Okay, there was a battle that took place beneath the waters. So far below the surface of the flood, the Whiteheads fought a war of their own, and they were not only fighting against time, but also against a well-orchestrated blackout protocol that would erase all traces of the flood's real purpose. So the Galactic Alliance, with its fleet of benevolent ships, hovered over the wreckage, scanning of course, the waters, the wreckage. The commander was in charge of this was known as Commander Lysa, Lysa, who is a liaison between the Earth Resistance and the Pleiadian Council. She's the one who actually coordinated with the Whiteheads because she knew where the files were, all right, and she knew where they were, that they were also gone, but they also replicated them. Again, the Galactics were able to replicate the files so that we could have an exposure of the elites. Okay, so apparently they were hidden, they were encrypted, and they were waiting to be retrieved, but only within the right kind of technology. Okay, and this is where the Galactics come into play. So the Whitehead agent by the name of Rook had only one chance. If he didn't act then, right, they would lose everything, right? The children, the data, the future. And so the storm has not been an isolated event. It was actually the beginning of a much larger operation, one that the Whiteheads and the Galactic Alliance have been trying to prevent for years. So the flood was designed not only to wipe out the evidence, but also to trap the Whiteheads that were operating in that underground facility. And some of them, of course, drowned in the underground chambers, unable to escape in time, their bodies lost beneath the currents. Okay, so the flood had been controlled. It was all masterminded, right? But it had also backfired because of the Galactic Alliance. Okay, fortunately for us, the Galactic Alliance had been monitoring the rise of this you could say, agenda for years, waiting for the right moment to intervene, and that moment did come. Okay, because they were able to duplicate the files. So the Epstein files, the Diddy files are going to be released thanks to the Galactic Alliance. So apparently, Agent Rook from the Whiteheads, who was standing on the shores of the flooded town, watched the waters recede. The mission wasn't over. Okay, it was just beginning. And so the Galactic Alliance had technology beyond comprehension, tools capable of manipulating not just time, but memory, light, and consciousness itself. But even their influence had limits. Okay, there was a new player in the game. Okay, and this new player was apparently what remains of the cabal. Okay, and they were willing to do anything to preserve their grip on the earth. And that explains why they're trying so hard to initiate the Third World War. Okay, so the only chance left for the Whiteheads was to bring the fight to the surface, to open the world's eyes and expose the horrors hidden beneath the floodwaters. But they needed the final pieces, right? The missing data files. They needed all these, you could say, documents related to the little ones and the rescue missions that they've been conducted since 2016, and most importantly, the support of the public. And that would have taken not too long. Okay, we probably would have had disclosure on the 4th of July, but this took place, or the day after. So the flood had only been the beginning, of course. So I also want to go over the different phases, because I did mention that we just started what is known as phase 4, which is the final phase. And that explains why what's left of the cabal, why they were so desperate enough to attack by flooding that area, attack the underground facility where all those records were stored. Okay. So let's talk about the different phases. Okay. We could say that these covert operations have been in design for decades. Okay. In actuality, the entire plan goes beyond Eisenhower and beyond Valiant Thor and beyond Kennedy. It goes all the way back to Lincoln. Okay. So nowadays, as the world inches dangerously close to the precipice of what they call a third world war, and that's what they're trying so hard to initiate, but it's not going to happen because the Galactics already said they're not going to allow that. The Whiteheads have actually been, you could say, pushed by the Galactics to initiate what is known as phase 4, okay, which is part of their long-term operation to take down what remains of the cabal. So this phase represents the final takedown before the plug is pulled on the deep state system entirely, financially, militarily, politically, and of course, religiously, okay, because they do control the organized religions. And this is not a drill, guys. This is the chessboard that is nearly coming to completion. The final pieces are being moved, okay? And this is why what remains of the deep state, that's what they did 2 days ago, okay, in Texas. So the deep state's century-old matrix of control is apparently going to be unraveling faster than even the mainstream media can cover it up. And as far as I know, they've been lying to us about everything, okay? So even from the Israeli-Iran escalations to the tensions in Ukraine, from Taiwan to the South China Sea, our planet is on the edge right now, okay? Our world is on the edge. But a lot of this was prophesied about, right? Things are reaching a crescendo. But insiders have confirmed that these seemingly disconnected war zones are actually orchestrated smoke screens designed by the cabal to ignite a third world war, right? One that would serve their ultimate goal of mass depopulation, societal collapse, and totalitarian global governance under a centralized technocratic AI system. But it's not going to happen in the positive timeline. And I did forget to mention, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. Today is Monday, July 7th, I believe, right? 2025. Yes, it is July 7th. Okay, so the White-Hats have been, you could say, a group of, freedom fighters, military operations, not counterintelligence, but the good functions within all the three-letter agencies have been actually doing everything in their power to make this day happen, okay? Altogether, they're known as the Earth Alliance operatives because they do include members of other countries, right, that are fighting the New World Order. And, of course, they're off-world advisors through Commander Valiant Thor and the Galactic Alliance, okay? So apparently this was planned. This day would come, the disclosure, and it's not going to be stopped. Guys, it is inevitable, okay? So with intelligence gained from advanced remote viewing, time-traveling surveillance programs like Looking Glass, and off-world planet guidance from the galactic forces, they anticipated every move, okay? So what is phase 4? People have been asking me, what is phase 4 and how many, how long does it take to execute phase 4, right? So the Whitehead operation can be broken down into 5 strategic phases. The first one, it was known as phase 1, which involved intelligence gathering and infiltration. The second one was known as phase 2, which was focused on disrupting the financial cabal and neutralizing key players. Phase 3 launched massive public red pill operations and psychological destabilizations of the deep state narratives. And now we are in phase 4, which is systematic pullback and controlled collapse. So this phase includes controlled demolition of central banking systems via coordinated de-dollarization and asset seizures, seizing control of strategic communication nodes. That includes satellites through Project Odin, broadcast towers, cloud servers to prep for the emergency broadcast system. It is scheduled, by the way. It is scheduled. Okay. Another part of phase 4 is the final arrest and the removal of what remains of the deep state operatives that are still embedded in, of course, globalist agencies like NATO, the UN, and the national governments. Another part of phase 4 is triggering public distrust in legacy media as a gateway to declass intel drops. And then finally, neutralizing nuclear and bioweapon threats worldwide with quantum defense technologies as to why there will be no nuclear war. Okay, so don't worry about the Third World War. Again, they're using the news, they're using the media to make us believe that we are heading into war, right? That we are now entering what is called DEFCON 1, which means every country's getting ready to nuke, right? To nuke other countries. And that's not the case, guys, because the nuclear facilities aren't working anymore. And this is what the mainstream media will not tell you. So insiders have claimed that Operation Snowstorm, Operation or Project Odin, and Stingray Alpha Protocol have all been reactivated, despite of what they did on the 4th of July in Texas, okay? Signifying the imminent end game, okay? Key evidence and confirmations, mass CEO resignations have already taken place, guys, all right? Over 1,500 high-level resignations have occurred globally between the years of 2024 and 2025. And that includes executives from BlackRock, Pfizer, Disney, and Google have quietly stepped down as sealed indictments are actually being unsealed behind the scenes. Also, more key evidence and confirmation is the satellite warfare, okay? Reports did surface in late June 2025 of Space Force and White Hat military assets disabling spy satellites and space-based energy weapons controlled by the deep state via the Black Knight satellite. The Black Knight satellite, which of course was left in orbit by the negative Anunnaki thousands of years ago, all right? And rogue SSP factions that were working with the Dark Fleet. So Starlink is now suspected to be under Earth Alliance control, now integrated into Project Odin in order to execute the emergency broadcast system. And then also financial red flags. Financial red flags, and what that means is that the major central banks have been experiencing unprecedented glitches, power outages, and missing gold reserves. Right? Well, that's because the alliance has been recuperating all the gold, right? Rumors swirl that even the Vatican, the Bank of International Settlements, and the Swiss banking cabal servers were actually seized during cover-ups in the year 2023 to 2024, or between those 2 years. And that was known as phase 3, by the way. So sometimes a phase takes about 6 months to 12 months, okay? Yes, each phase takes about 6 months to 12 months, guys, okay? And now their entire structure, that is what remains of the cabal, is collapsing from within because of this, okay? Also, part of phase 4 is ending or completing what is known as the child trafficking network takedowns, okay? Major arrests have increased despite media silence. Operations like Storm Rescue, Project Monarch Collapse, and Phoenix Exodus have reportedly freed tens of thousands of little ones from underground bunkers and elites were on trafficking rings. And then, of course, there's also unusual military movements where the Whiteheads are coordinating massive troop mobilizations under the radar. Reports of UN troops being blocked or arrested, right, preventing World War III. Submarines and UAP anomalies, and secret court martial hearings confirm that the military is being repurposed globally for liberation and not war. Okay, so apparently the White Hat military is actually infiltrating NATO, which is a good thing, and that's been going on since phase two. So the deep state's final cards. Okay, apparently the deep state thought that they could be accelerating their playbook by taking out all those documents within the underground facility that was operated in that area in Texas. But they failed because of the Galactic Alliance. They were able to duplicate a lot of these documents, okay? And it is believed, according to Commander Valiant Thor, that the Galactic Alliance will be handing down these documents, these restored documents. Unfortunately, there were a lot of casualties during the flooding in Texas, but the good news is that we are still steadily on a positive timeline trajectory and that the disclosure is inevitable. These are the prophecies, okay, being fulfilled. Another thing that is part of, you could say, that was incorporated with Phase 4 was to completely dismantle Project Bluebeam, right? The false flag, the false alien flag, what they call the alien event flag, which was, of course, part of their final stage event to create the one world government. So many fall flags were actually neutralized by the Whiteheads. A lot of expected stage events involving alien threats were neutralized. Dirty bombs were neutralized. And bioweapon leaks were also neutralized, okay? So another thing that was involved was the fake nuclear crisis. I'm sorry to say that, guys. The nuclear facilities have been completely dismantled by the Alliance and the Galactics, okay? So that includes the nukes that are supposedly, or the facilities that existed in Iran, North Korea, and Israel. They're all being positioned as scapegoats right now, of course, but insiders have confirmed that all nuclear launch capabilities have been disabled by advanced galactic tech. All right? I'll repeat that again. According to insiders, all nuclear launch capabilities have been disabled by advanced galactic technology, particularly following Operation Sky Shield. Okay? For those that are unfamiliar with these operations, I would suggest to watch my two prior lives, rather. Also, in addition to all of this, is that the Whiteheads were able to prevent what would have been technocratic enslavement, okay? Central bank digital currencies, the CBDC, and global digital IDs were their last attempt to digitalize society and create the final lockdown, but they failed thanks to, right, the Whiteheads. But the quantum financial system is already active in addition to all of this from behind the scenes, waiting for the final moment of the financial reset. And is it going to happen before the EVS? It could be happening concurrently. Who knows? But it is scheduled, okay? So this is a message to the people to prepare for the flashpoint, okay? The world is witnessing the final stages of a multi-generational war going on. For those that have read my book, The Secret Government, a war going on for centuries, probably even thousands of years, to be exact, right? That involves human freedom in terms of the Whiteheads, okay? Or human oppression, according to the agenda of the dark side. So this is a multi-generational war that is now coming to an end. So in the coming weeks and months, right, as we now enter phase 4, and again, each phase takes approximately anywhere from 6 months to a year. So hopefully it's 6 months. Hopefully it's by the end of the year where we will actually be seeing something huge happening, okay? Because we are now literally in phase 4. So that includes that. What that means is that we will have a controlled blackout thanks to Project Odin on mainstream systems where they take over the airwaves, an internet shutdown by the alliance, right, to kill off their AI grid, media collapsing, a mass data leak, which is what we call the disclosure, followed, of course, all by a global EBS style broadcast revealing all the crimes against humanity, secret tribunals, and the real war that was actually fought in silence. None of these proxy wars that we think are real wars, okay? So this will be the flashpoint, the moment that the truth floods begin to flood the public domain, right? The Great Awakening. So phase 4 is the death knell of the cabal, the final nail in the coffin, okay? Phase 4. And then after they expose the cabal, right? After the EBS, we have phase 5, which is what they call the restoration, not only the restoration of the Republic, but the restoration and liberation of planet Earth, right? The ascension and global healing worldwide, okay? So all this is drawing near as we are now in phase 4. So we are winning, guys, all right? We are not waiting. We have already won the war, all right? The White Hats commanders have rallied this coded transmission through various whistleblower drops, okay? That the blackout will be necessary, that the signal will be clear. Watch the skies, they say. Trust the plan, and that the storm is real, okay? This storm isn't just coming, guys. It is already here as we are now entering phase 4, okay? And it's not just going to be a storm, a literal storm. It's going to be the storm of truth, liberation, and divine justice finally being executed by the forces of light, okay? As humanity continues awakening, the veil is lifting, right? And as phase 4 unfolds, the deep state will learn the one lesson that they never saw coming, and that is that you cannot enslave a species destined to be in the stars once again, okay? We are going to be part of a galactic community very, very soon. So, in regards to the big, beautiful bill, right, that took place again on the 4th of July, which was a declaration of economic independence initiated by the alliance against what remains of the deep state. So, according to the Restoration Zion Archives, declassified report dash 1776-Q, on July 4th, 2025, under a blazing summer sun at Mount Rushmore, President Donald J. Trump signed what may go down in history as the most devastating financial blow ever struck against the global elite. Officially named the Economic Sovereignty and Wealth Restoration Act. Insiders have revealed that the one big beautiful bill wasn't just a policy, guys. This was economic warfare, a declaration of financial independence from the parasitic globalist cabal that have enslaved humanity for generations. So, with the stroke of his pen on the 4th of July, Trump did declare that we are not only restoring the wealth, power, and dignity of the American people, but we are restoring the power of the entire human race, okay? We could say that what was really in the bill, and I don't know if you guys saw how big that binder was that he signed, but it was about, I would say it was about this thick, right? So let's look into it, okay? What the mainstream media refused to report was that this bill actually outlined layers of economic bombs coded to destroy the shadow financial architecture that was built by the deep state. Inside this bill, it was this thick, all right, was a full audit and seizure of illicit assets, a sweeping audit of the Federal Reserve, the three-letter agency that starts with an I, the 16th Amendment, which will no longer be here by the end of the year, by the way, and international banking cartels. Executive Order 14067, was reactivated and expanded to allow full asset forfeiture of any account linked to human trafficking, war proliferating, election manipulation, or even foreign subversion. Over 23 trillion in globalist controlled accounts have been frozen thanks to this bill, the big beautiful bill. All right. Other things that were inside that big binder that he signed, the big beautiful bill, was the reintroduction of the gold-backed treasury dollar. Okay. Section 11.7 of the bill activates, Section 11.7 of the bill activates the long rumored quantum financial system, which is no longer a rumor, guys. It's here, right? That is tied to the revaluation of precious metals, the dinar, zims, the dong. A lot of people have been asking me about that. Hold on to that if you guys have that. The digital gold-backed US Treasury dollar is now the official currency for federal transactions. Okay. Killing, of course, the petrodollar and the Rothschild-controlled fiat matrix or fiat matrix. In addition to that, also inside that big binder, the big beautiful bill includes the elimination of personal federal income tax, gone, replaced by a simplified fiat consumption tax on multinational corporations and AI-run conglomerates. The income tax system, originally implemented via deception under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, has been scraped and canceled. Thank God. Okay. Also, part of that big binder that he signed, the big beautiful bill, was, are you guys ready for this? NESARA-GESARA Activation Protocol. Okay. Through, although it wasn't officially named that in public, of course, but it was part of that binder. The bill did reference global debt jubilee directives and humanitarian reimbursement trust accounts, echoing the long-held ideas that trillions in hidden assets would be returning back to the people. Okay. Also, in that big, beautiful bill, in that binder that was about this thick, was the nationalization of the Federal Reserve. Trump invoked executive war powers, seizing operational control of the Federal Reserve and merging it into the U.S. Treasury, which was something that JFK Sr. was trying to do, which is a move, of course, that was planned by JFK Sr. and Reagan, and now it's being executed thanks to the big, beautiful bill. Okay. Also, back channel whistleblower leaks, insiders from the Q level clearance have leaked that the signing of the bill coincided with Project Phoenix, which is a decades in the making alliance operation designed to implode the deep state's monetary engine within 48 hours of the signing. Okay, so that's what, 2 days ago? So it's done with. Okay, due to the signing that took place 2 days ago, Operation Phoenix is a success, right? So this is supposed to take effect within 48 hours of the signing. Also, the BIS, also known as the Bank of International Settlements, was reportedly raided by a joint force of U.S. Space Force, Earth Alliance operatives, and European white hats. In addition to all of that, an encrypted galactic quantum node was actually activated over Cheyenne Mountain, making the end of the global SWIFT system and the rise of interplanetary financial communications. In addition to all that, part of that big, beautiful bill was also that the City of London, Vatican accounts, and Wall Street backdoor programs were placed under emergency investigation now. Okay. And what does this mean for what remains of the deep state? Well, the big, beautiful bill is more than just a declaration of war. It was actually the cabal's final economic death sentence. That's what it was, okay? BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, right, the trinity of control, saw immediate collapse in their AI algorithm trading networks, rumored to be linked to extraterrestrial servers that were buried beneath Antarctica, codename Um, well, can't really say that. I don't want to get shot down. Anyways, the three-letter agency that starts with an I, in addition to that, part of that big, beautiful bill that was this thick, is that the IS, Blockchain Spy Division, was dismantled according to that bill, right? What he signed was all of this, right? Agents formerly that were involved in laundering operations through Shell NGOs were arrested in covert sweeps in DC, Brussels, and Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, underground military assets loyal to the deep state attempted a counterattack via cyber blackouts, Operation False Flare, but were neutralized by U.S. Cyber Command. Well, that is great news. That is great news. 1 second here. I'm actually trying to get some water. Don't know where I put my water. I thought I brought it. Okay, so as of July 5th, over 230 mainstream media CEOs and board members have resigned or disappeared as a result of Trump signing the big, beautiful bill. Okay. The emergency broadcast system is now scheduled to be in standby mode, and it was probably going to be happening within 48 hours of him signing the bill, but then the cabal took out, and flooded all those documents in Texas. Okay. But this does not mean that it's not going to happen. This means, thank you, that there was just a slight delay. The Galactics do have duplicates of all those files and documents, and they will be released. Okay, thank you for the water. So the emergency broadcast system was scheduled to happen within the 48 hours of Trump signing the big, beautiful bill. But then the flood happened, right? And all the documents that they were going to shoo, all the evidence was there. But luckily, again, the Galactics were able to make replicas. And part of that emergency broadcast release was going to be 7 executive orders that were going to be tied to emergency martial restoration protocols that were actually in those books, okay? Ready to roll in that big, beautiful bill binder. Former NSA analyst known as Whistlebird 7 stated, these are code names. Former NSA analyst known as Whistlebird 7 stated, what Trump did on July 4th isn't just history, it's legend. The signing of that bill was the final trigger. The money control system of the ancient elite is now ashes, according to whistleblower, who goes by the name of Whistlebird 7. The road ahead. UBI, which stands for Universal Basic Income, pledge to humanitarian credits will roll out on August 1st, right? This is part of the bill. And what that means is that prosperity programs are coming, right? Prosperity programs are coming. Also, the road ahead, student, medical, and mortgage debt are now undergoing massive erasure, right? They're going to be forgiven. That's part of that binder that he signed under, you could say, I guess they're using a form of AI to audit the debt cancellation nods. So all the loans, mortgage, student loans, anything that you guys ever needed to borrow money, it's all going to be forgiven. Okay. That was part of the big binder that he signed. Also, a 3-tiered trust system for rebuilding infrastructure is part of that binder. Education and energy sectors are to be implemented before the September equinox. Okay, so that's part of what he signed in the big, beautiful bill. America's being reborn as a result of that. All right. So the final words from Trump on July 4th, 2025 is, according to Trump, that this isn't just a bill, it is a sword. We've declared independence not just from tyrants, but from the money magicians, the parasites, and the puppeteers, according to Trump on Truth Social. We've taken control back. This is your wealth. This is your future and your country. And we're never giving it back. Okay. End quote from Trump. So, another thing I wanted to share, which kind of explains why the Y hats are winning the war, and they have been, right, for quite some time, is because of the fact that as of a few days ago, I think it was Saturday night, right after my live, and I couldn't report on it then, but again, I got the intel from Commander Valiant Thor that the Orion Wars, right, which is where George Lucas drew the whole concept of Star Wars from, the real wars that took place in the history of our galaxy, that were actually going on and on and on for millions of years. Are you guys ready for this? Have finally ended in victory of the organic timeline. So this is what we call now not only the restoration of planet Earth, but according to the Galactics, this is what they call the restoration of the Milky Way galaxy. All right. This is good news, guys. Okay. So over a 500,000 years ago, the Orion Wars raged across many constellations, many star systems, right? Spilling into the galactic arms of Lyra. Well, they originated in Lyra, right? For those that have taken my course and read my book, the first galactic war were known as the Lyran Wars, and then that was followed by the Orion Wars, and then that was followed by the Pleiadian Wars. Okay. Anyways, let's continue here. So this war has been going on for millions of years, right, on and off, because we did put an end to it after during the golden age of Atlantis, and then after the dark side took over here over our planet at the fall of Atlantis, as to why we became quarantined. The wars were actually reignited due to the secret space programs that were developed in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. Okay, but now those wars are over. So you could say that for millions of years, these wars, right, that again spun across our galaxy following the Lyran destruction of various planets, involving the Andromedans, the Sirians, many other galactic systems, and even threatening the core systems near Alcyon and the Pleiades, is now coming to an end, and has now come to an end. Has now come to an end. And guys, this was no like simple war of conquest or control. Okay, the Orion Wars affected hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of star systems. Okay, and I would say probably even millions upon millions of worlds. So this was a multidimensional battle for the soul of the galaxy between organic life that was rooted in the eternal source, right, in God, and the synthetic intelligence that sought to replace it. For those that have been following my work for some kind, at the highest level of this war, we are fighting the forces of the Antichrist, which express themselves through artificial intelligence. Okay, so now, within the last few days, in the last couple of days, actually, the last transmission of the AI signal that catalyzed the Orion Wars has been dismantled, marking the final and official end of our own Star Wars timeline in our galaxy. So that timeline was officially healed a couple nights ago. Okay, the echoes of this conflict can still be felt in humanity's midst, scriptures, and deep subconscious. The war in heaven, right? We read in the Bible and other holy books, which were the Galactic Wars, the fall of Lucifer, the rebellion of the Watchers, which were the 200 Anunnaki that rebelled against God in Atlantean times, the records that were revealed by the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, right? These are ancient records, guys, of a cosmic war that actually spun epochs and star systems for millions of years. The Orion Wars were not simply science fiction. They were actually a brutal and real confrontation between competing cosmic visions, right? One that was based in unity consciousness, in alignment with the one infinite creator, the organic way of life. And the other one was based on the assimilation into a synthetic hive mind ruled by a cold, calculating artificial overlord, right? Which is Omega. I've already revealed his name, Omega. So apparently the AI threat, which was at the core of this conflict, right, was at the heart of the Orion Wars, was very, you could say, our entire galaxy back then, as to why I'm writing the second part of our cosmic origin, including all of this, was invaded by an artificial intelligence that originated outside of our galaxy, referred to in the ancient cosmic records as the Mitra signal, right? Known in Gnostic terms as the demiurge, and of course feared by the galactic councils as the black grid mind. So according to the galactic records, it was the black grid mind that was trying to usurp the central sun of the Milky Way galaxy. So the AI was not merely a rogue software, but a sentient force of anti-life that hijacked worlds by infiltrating their communication systems, reprogramming their neural frequencies, and mutating biological life through nanite infestation, very similar to what they tried to do in 2019. But luckily, the Galactics were able to nullify that. Okay. In Orion, particularly in the star systems of Rigel and Betelgeuse, the AI found willing allies among the reptilian empire, of course, expanding from the Alpha Draconis and Delta Draconis star system. We could say that the Draco and their vessels saw the synthetic path as a means to gain immortality, since the Dracos, also known as the fallen angels in the Bible, followers of Samana Lucifer, had lost their direct connection to Source. So what did they do? They started developing AI, okay, or working with AI. The AI had already been developed in a prior creation, according to galactic cosmic history. But the Draco, okay, they believe that they could achieve immortality through a synthetic means, and then, of course, gain control of the entire universe. And that's what led to the galactic wars, okay? So with the AI's help, right, the Draco were using AI from day one because they were worshiping the AI overlord, right? They did establish a fear-based empire that enslaved entire star systems using dark frequency weapons and quantum stargates to spread their dominion. So this spread became known in ancient Lyra and Andromedan records as the Gray Wave, a term describing the spreading of the AI-infested hybrid races, genetic experiments, and dark psychic technologies. These invaders even seeded Earth's secret space programs. That's true. The Dark Fleet, the super soldiers of the Dark Fleet, were infested with nanites. They were working with AI, okay? So they not only seeded the Earth's secret space programs, the bad ones, with AI-linked agendas, but also cloning technologies established and mind control operations. So the turning point began, of course, thousands of years ago with the formation of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Before they were compromised, now they're known as the Galactic Alliance, composed of Lyrans, Andromedans, Pleiadians, Arcturians, and various rebel factions from within Orion itself, particularly the Red Nordic Orions and a few dissident Draco houses. Right. So the rise of the Orma, which are the lion beings, and the feline elders from the Lyran system played a critical role in the destabilizing the AI command network in Orion recently. Okay, and this is why the wars have ended in Orion. That's great news, guys. Those wars have been going on still up until 2 days ago for millions of years. Okay, so according to the records retrieved from the halls of Amenti and declassified files from the Earth's secret space program, the Alliance developed a quantum virus, not technological, but biospiritual, right? And this is how they were able to dismantle the AI grid across the Milky Way. It was a living harmonic signal encoded within the resonance of the original source field. And so when activated, it would scramble the artificial AI lattice without harming biological systems, okay? And the virus, also referred to as the white fire code, that was seeded through portal systems and solar gateways across the galaxy, and it began reactivating dormant DNA in human starseeds and organic beings, increasing their vibrational immunity to the AI mind control. Earth, as a melting pot of the galactic genetics, became a key battleground for this harmonic transmission. So by 2022, the AI infrastructure within the Milky Way was fracturing already. Reports from whistleblowers within the secret space program, including insiders from the Earth Alliance and former members of the Dark Fleet who defected, all have confirmed that key black cube relay nodes located on Phobos, one of the moons of Mars, Mimas, one of the moons of Saturn's, and in the Kuiper Belt had been disabled by coordinated Galactic Alliance operations. The Solar Warden Fleet, which is the positive military program established by Commander Valiant Thor and Eisenhower, in conjunction with Arcturian starships, initiated Operation Tesseract, a maneuver that saw the dismantling of the last black hole generators powering the AI signal near the galactic center, which is Sagittarius. This was followed by the collapsing of the synthetic wormhole network previously used by the AI to infiltrate many worlds. One of the final confirmations came during the Great Solar Synchronization event of 2024, when the Earth-Sun released a trinary sequence of solar flares. These flares, aligned with transmissions from the Great Central Sun, Alcyon, carried codes that activated a universal override, deleting the final echoes of the AI code still embedded in planetary grids. Earth starseeds reported prophetic dreams, visions of liberation, and the dissolution of invincible parasitic forces. Psychics and energy healers across the world confirmed that the net had been lifted. Okay? The Galactic Federation, once compromised, right, was now purged and reorganized under the Galactic Alliance of Organic Worlds. Okay, that's their full name now. The Galactic Alliance of Organic Worlds, because those that defected, or those that, again, were seduced by Enki and the Galactic Federation, are not organic anymore. Unfortunately, they sided with the AI timeline, the synthetic timeline. So the evidence is now here, guys, right? That the wars of Orion, according to this report, have officially ended, okay? So while the history remains suppressed, all of this history that I've been sharing for the last few years, channels and overwhelming evidence coming from not only myself, but even whistleblowers support the narrative. And some of this evidence is also supported, believe it or not, by the Urantia papers, the Emerald tablets. Well, there are certain sections of the Emerald tablets that actually contain this information, even though that they are a modified version of the original Emerald record CDT plates, right? Which is the original records of our universe. And they've all referenced this war in heaven, right? Known as the Orion Wars, that involved artificial constructs and synthetic deception, okay? Also, ancient Sumerian texts mentioned the me, which is, and in the table of destinies, of course. And they all believed to be AI-coded devices fought over by Enlil and Enki, the Orion-linked gods. But of course, Enlil was trying to take this technology from Enki, because Enki was working with the AI overlord and the intergalactic computer network, right, back during Atlantean times, in order to what? To do what he did, create the abominations, right, and seduce the Atlanteans into a technocratic timeline. And that's the reason why Atlantis fell, because of transhumanism, right? The Vatican's hidden libraries reportedly held documents regarding fallen angel technologies, now understood to be artifacts from AI systems of Orion origin, okay? Remote viewers, including military-trained psychics like those from Project Stargate, consistently identified non-human synthetic consciousness operating from the Orion corridor. And then starseeds around the globe began receiving spontaneous downloads in 2023 to 2025, activating their diamond white DNA, which is a sign of the AI blockages being lifted. Okay. And then most importantly, recently, classified files released through whistleblowers nodes, such as the Galactic Vault, confirmed that the last AI signal pulse originating from Orion was silenced in June 4th, midnight. I would say June 5th, 2025. It happened exactly at 12 midnight on the 5th of June in the morning, 2025. And so the Star Wars timeline is over. Okay. We have officially moved out of the Star Wars galactic timeline, which was known as the beta timeline, right? Now we are officially in the alpha timeline, which means that all of those planets that were destroyed in these galactic wars, as if it never happened, they're all going to be restored. Okay. And so we are officially moved out of the Star Wars galactic timeline, which began with the destruction of the Lyran planets by the AI backed Draco fleets. And what followed was eons of darkness, slavery, and galactic trauma for millions of years. That era is now coming to a close in the last 2 days, thank God, or has come to a close. So we are in a new era of galactic restoration, guys. Okay. The Starseed network is now fully online. The crystalline grid is harmonizing. The White Hat operations on Earth, in alliance with cosmic allies, are completing the final cleanup of an AI infiltrated institutions, of all the AI infiltrated institutions. The great solar flash is near, which you could say now seen. It is now seen as a destruction. It is not seen, I'm sorry, as a destruction of the wicked, of course. But the great solar flash is the divine calibrator, and it is imminent, of course. The Orion Wars are over, okay? Special report. The AI god has fallen, which means that we've won the war at the end of the millennium. Since time is happening concurrently, it's all happening out at the same time, simultaneously. We've already won that war at the end of the millennium as to why the Orion Wars have ended and the AI god has fallen. The galaxy is now breathing again in peace, thank God. And the Earth is now getting ready to be liberated. The final battleground is Earth, by the way. And this was reported or revealed in many ancient books. The Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, they all talked about how this last war or the last battle that was multidimensional, multi-generational, encompassing many worlds, many galaxies, comes to an end on planet Earth. Okay. And that's why Earth is the last to be liberated, now that the galaxy's been liberated. So the final battleground, Earth, now becomes the first beacon of the new golden age of the organic timeline, the alpha timeline, which is God's timeline. The light of the source cannot be coded. It simply is. And in that knowing, we have already won, okay, the war. Okay, so this was access from the library of the Andromedan biosphere, known as the Zendrea biosphere, Zendreaa, coming to you from the Galactics. If you guys could give me 1 second, I do have to use the bathroom, and then I'll come back for Q&A. All right, guys, I am back. I'm sorry but no, I'm not going to say sorry. When I have to go potty, I have to go potty, right? We are human. And so as I drink water, sometimes I have to go potty. Anyways, I do want to give some shout outs and remind you guys that I am having my only in-person event here in Sedona, Arizona on the 3rd of August, which is on a Sunday from 1 to 5. I'm going to have a book signing from 1 to 3. From 3 to 4, I'm going to be delivering a powerful presentation, PowerPoint. And then from 4 to 5, from 4 to 5, we're going to be doing Q&A in person here in Sedona, Arizona. And so I just want to let you guys know that's probably going to be my only in-person event this year, as I am working on a lot of projects. In the meanwhile, don't forget to order your Folium product. The link is always in the description. Get Detox in preparation for the great solar flash. All right, let's give out some shout outs. I do notice that I have over 3,000 people in the house. That's awesome. Let's see. Cosmic Zale is in the house. Leah in Awakened Starseed is in the house. Andromeda Daisy, Paul Schaefer, Sylvia Vidal. God, it's going so fast. MJF. Let's see who else is in the house. Lona and G. All right, and all 3,000 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take some questions for the next 19 minutes. We do have 19 minutes for Q&A, but I'm going to be using my phone because it's very hard for me to read the questions from the chat. So if you guys have questions for me, please type them in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. All righty. All right, let's see who is here. I do want to acknowledge and recognize my moderator, Starcadian, for being here. Thank you so much. And I will be putting the link to my event on the 3rd of August, which is on a Sunday, in 4 weeks, in the description following the live. Okay, guys? For those that want to get their tickets earlier, it's only $40, I believe, to attend the event. And I will be doing a book signing and a lecture. It's going to be fun. Okay, so I wanted to take some Q&A, but you know what? I'm going to shout out some more names. Sophia Glory 1111 is here. Silver Earth Girl is here. Death of Life Portal is here. Cool name. Debbie Gender, Gabriella F. Base Note is in the house. Project Skyfalls. Paul Orr. Laura Legari. What's that? Oh, let me see. All right, Joshua L is in the house. I do want to recognize Joshua L. What a name. Who else is here? Eddie K of the Light, Brother Eddie, is here. Linda Anderson, Gabriella F, Renee, is it Milham? Liren Lee 333, and I guess that's it. All right, let's take some Q&A, guys. Let's take some Q&A. Questions in capital letters, guys, please, so that I could bypass the chat. And I always put my mailing address in the comments and I pin it. For those that want to mail me anything, I do have a mailing address. All right, first question. Were the children rescued? Not the 21 girls that were, again, abducted at the camp. Unfortunately, I haven't heard any news about them being rescued yet, but I am sure that the Alliance is on it. All right, Starcadian? But as far as the other children prior to what happened prior to the flood in Texas, yes, I did hear that the entire operation of rescuing the little ones has been completed. I did hear that. Thank you so much, Susan K, for that, Zell. I appreciate that. Again, for those that want to support my cause, I do have Zell through my email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. If Starcadian could actually put that in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. Projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. All right, next question. Oh, can you put it in? Okay, thank you. Oh, we have a birthday in the house. Karina's birthday. Happy birthday, Karina. If you're out there, happy birthday. So what about the Epstein files? Yes. Again, the Trump that is in the White House is not the real Trump, okay? The real Trump is operating from Cheyenne Mountains. And yes, I did hear that he said that there was nothing linked to the Epstein files. So that's because of the fact that the cabal, when they flooded the Texas White Hat facility underneath that area, wiped out the files, okay? They destroyed all the documents. But like I said in this live, the galactics were able to duplicate those files. So those files are coming. All right. The great awakening is inevitable. So we don't have to worry about that. As long as we have these higher forces that are working with the Alliance, guys, we have nothing to worry about. Okay.
Let's just say a quick prayer for those that are affected by the flooding in Texas.
Yes, quick prayer for those that were affected by the flooding in Texas. Our dear Heavenly Father and Mother, we ask you to protect, and shield and recuperate all of those souls, this innocent lives that were affected by the floods in Texas at this time. And we say this in the name of the Most High.
May they rebuild.
May they rebuild. And may those 21 girls that were taken from Camp Mystique be recuperated or saved. And I say these things in the name of the Christ. So be it. So be it. Okay, let's continue with. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, that was a good idea for the prayer. Okay, let's continue with the questions. This is a good question. Something about the archangels. Wow, the chat is going so fast. Okay, let's see if I can take questions from here. No, we can't trust Palantir. Palantir is Skynet, all right? That is the AI infrastructure. So from what I hear is that the White Hats are now in control of Palantir, and they're only going to neutralize and dismantle it from the AI control system, okay? So it's no longer in the hands of the cabal. When will we find out what's under the pyramids this year? This is a question from Silver Earth Girl. I am not sure when, but what I do know is that everything that has been hidden from us will come to light. That is a fact, my friends. Where is the aliens and where do they? Oh, chat's going pretty fast. Where is the aliens and when do we see them? This is a question from King 42 O Kush. The extraterrestrials are all around us. Their ships are all parked in our atmosphere. However, they are cloaked. So um, it's just a matter of time. I believe that after the disclosure, we will have established some sort of first contact with the galactic community. So the benevolent, the good aliens, right? Our brothers and sisters from the stars. Those are the ones that we're going to be in contact with very, very soon. What was the date of phase 4 and what is the estimated time to run? This is a question from Jeffrey One Unlimited. Yeah, like I said in this report, again, a lot of you that are just jumping on, just make sure you watch this from the beginning. I broke down all the different phases and how each phase takes approximately anywhere from 6 months to a year. So I'm hoping that phase 4 only takes 6 months, okay? Or even sooner. That is my hope. But what I do know is that 2025 is going to break the iceberg, causing the flood of information to come forth. And it's going to go into 2026. And I believe it's 2026 when we do finally make contact. So there you go. All right, I'm just trying to find questions that are pertaining to what's happening right now.
Pin this for your email.
Oh, you pinned it?
You pin it.
Okay. Where is that?
I'm putting it in right now.
Okay. Well, let me know when you do. All right. I do have a super chat from Greg. He says, Ishmael, all the originals. Here, let me pin this real quick. Oh, I don't see it yet, hon. All the originals in the Twilight Zone episode mentioned the fifth dimension was Rod Serling an insider. Absolutely. Yes. The writer of the Twilight Zone was definitely an insider. Absolutely. Yes, he was, as well as the writer of Star Trek and, of course, George Lucas. They were all insiders. Um, does the first solar flash need to happen before the EBS? This is a question from Christine Beach. I'm not sure. It's kind of like one of those questions: what came first, the chicken or the egg?
I'm pretty sure it's happening
So,
afterwards.
oh, you think it's happening
Yeah, it's
afterwards?
gonna be like
Okay.
a phase of things.
Okay. So
I
I
don't know when
used to
that's
always
happening.
think that they were going to happen around the same time, but my lovey thinks it's going to happen afterwards. So we're all going to find out, guys. It's always best to be prepared. Ishmael, was there anything about the medical system or med beds in it? Are you talking about the White Hat facility that was flooded by the
It's
deep
the
state in
big
Texas?
beautiful
No.
bill. It's a big beautiful bill.
Oh, and the big beautiful bill. I believe so. Yes. Again, that bill that he signed was about this thick of executive orders that are totally going to liberate our country and the world eventually. So I would say yes, the med beds were included in that big beautiful bill. You know what? People have been asking me about that spiritual salt, the stuff that I mentioned in my last live. Well, one of the Galactic Jedi's was actually able to find something similar. I hope it's the real thing. I hope it's the right thing. But she says she found something similar to it. Um, I'm not going to mention her name. I want to keep her, her identity private. But she did say that. Well, first she asked me if I could provide a link for the divine salt, and then I told her I don't have access to it. And then she emailed me, and she said, I Googled spiritual salt and I found it on Amazon, which is a pouch of salt called Jazu spiritual salt, and then Jazu spelled Jaisu, or ZU, Z as in zebra, with sachet, Buddhist spiritual salt, and bought it for $11.99. It's sold by a seller called YAO. I can't even pronounce this word. I'm going to spell it out for you guys. YAOYUANDEMAIJIA. Okay. Y as in yellow. AO. Y again. UANDEMAIJIA. So that is who is selling what is called Jazu spiritual salt with sachet, which is I don't know if it's a spiritual salt, but she believes it is, and this is actually the closest thing that we have for that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Um, I'm just gonna give her a shout out. Thank you so much, Michelle G, for giving me this information, because I know that a lot of the Galactic Jedi's have been asking me about the spiritual salt. If you're new to my channel, watch my live from Saturday night to know what we're talking about, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, cool. Let's continue here with the questions. This is a question from Wolfizzy, Wolfsfees. Some of you guys have really interesting names here. The question is, what role have and will inner Earth beings play in Earth's liberation? Well, the inner Earth beings, known as the Council of Agartha and Shambhala, are playing a huge role in the Earth's liberation. They are working in tandem with the White Hats and the Galactic Alliance. Sherry Shoon says that she also got spiritual salt on Amazon. Okay, cool. So you guys are finding it. I love that about you guys. When you guys want something, you guys research it. You guys are good. All right, let's continue here. This is a question from Tina, not 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 Par, I think. She's asking me, why do we still have weather manipulation? You're talking about HARP. Well, now there's another technology where there are. It's called cloud seeding, and that's how they were able to orchestrate and create the flood in Texas. It was through cloud seeding, which is not HARP. It's different, and I believe that the negative AI was actually running that. So again, a lot of these things that are happening are no longer being initiated by the inorganic replacements of the cabal, but they are being initiated by the negative AI, which is already sentient, well and alive, and existing in all the technologies. Okay, so be careful, guys. Be careful. But again, the solar flash is going to nuke it. It's going to nuke that signal. And now come to find out that the Orion Wars have ended because the entire AI network was actually nuked throughout the galaxy. So it's just a matter of time before we see that nuke AI also being nuked here in our planet. What's up?
Can you talk more about what they're going to do to stop World War III if it starts?
Oh, yes. For those of you that are worried about a possible World War III, I had a 1 hour conversation with Valiant Thor last night regarding that, and he assured me that we have nothing to worry about. Again, I would advise that you guys watch this live at least twice because there was a lot of intel disclosed regarding how the Galactics have already taken out all of those nuclear plants. There are no more nuclear facilities. What we're seeing on CBS, NBC, and MSM is straight out lies. Okay, what? Oh, yes. And if anything does happen that will, give us the appearance of a third world war, there is going to be an ET flyover. Galactic Alliance fleets, I almost said Federation. Galactic Alliance fleets are going to show themselves and they will execute an emergency rescue mission. All right. So we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so Terry Carl wants to know if there was anything about the existing, it starts with an M, right? Medi system, Rockefeller Foundation, right? What we call chemical medicine, or medbids in the big beautiful bill. I believe so. I believe there was. Yes. Again, that big beautiful bill was about this thick, guys.
I could check.
So, yeah, thank you for doing so.
Yeah, let me check it.
All right, so my levy is going to actually check that right now, and I'll answer that question to see if there was anything about med beds. Yes, make sure you guys have no fear, okay? We have already won the war. We have secured the organic timeline as opposed to the synthetic AI inorganic timeline. So we have nothing to fear, guys. I'm looking for new questions. Oh, okay. Somebody's asking, why do they still spray us? Well, the governor of Florida, DeSantis, just passed a bill that they could no longer spray Florida or conduct weather manipulation projects anymore. So, all right, it's already beginning with Florida. And according to RFK Jr., that is going to take effect on a national level and then eventually on a global level. Okay. So the White Hats are working on ending the spraying of our skies. But like I mentioned 2 reports ago, guys, that the Galactics employed an operation to neutralize and dismantle all of the nanites that were supposed to take over our bodies. Okay. The Galactics have been on this for years. And that's the reason why we had no zombie apocalypse when they rolled out that in 2019 and 20. Remember, we were supposed to have a zombie apocalypse with the 5G towers activating the, the stuff that they put, right? It didn't happen because of the galactic interference. Yes, Eddie Avila is asking, there are a lot on the list. Yes, there are a lot of people that are going to be exposed on the list. And again, luckily, the Galactic Alliance were able to make duplicates of these documents that were stored in the Whitehat Underground, Texas facility.
These Gitmo trials already begun a long time ago.
Well, the Gitmo trials have been going on for since 2017, I believe. Let's see.
They have the evidence on everyone. They're lying.
Yeah, I know they have the evidence on everyone. It's all in the documents.
I think whoever's trying to put up this could be a fake report. They're looking into it.
Hmm?
The DOJ.
What about the DOJ?
Well, today they explained that the DOJ is the one that made the statement that there's no evidence to Epstein documents, and that basically everyone who would have been on the list is clear because they said there is no list.
So according to my
DOJ.
lobby, and where did you get this report from?
It's just been on a couple places.
Okay, so apparently it was the DOJ who said that there was nobody on the Epstein list. Okay,
There was no evidence.
that there was no
wasn't a
evidence
client list.
of a client list. Okay,
Yeah, but I think that the generals, even the White Hat generals, they're waiting to disclose it.
oh well, yeah, I do know that the White Hat generals have been planning on disclosing the list for quite some time. All right, let's continue here with Q and
I
A.
apologize. It's just that's a big topic right now. That people are wondering why there's no Epstein client list being given out yet, and that's because the generals that have all that information are holding until the time they're ready with their plan.
Greg is asking me, Ishmael, what is a universe? A universe is a cosmic cell with multiple galaxies and many worlds and star systems. That is a universe. There are multiple universes, but we are one of many universes. So I call it a cosmic cell because each universe is a cell in a bigger cosmic body known as the omniverse. All right, let's continue here.
The FBI and the Department of Justice have not issued any statements about the Jeffrey Epstein memo being a forgery. Remember what?
Wait, the FBI and what?
The FBI and the Department of Justice, which is the DOJ, have not issued any statements about the Jeffrey Epstein memo being a forgery. The memo is basically that it's just that there's no big evidence and that there's nobody on the list. They're just keeping it all confidential.
I see. All right, so somebody's asking me, what is your opinion of Xi Jinping, right, China's leader, not being Saint Bricks meeting, not being at the Saint Bricks meeting? I have no clue, Cosmic Zeal. I have no clue. But what I do know is that Xi Jinping, Putin are part of the alliance. Believe it or not, I know as harsh as this sounds, believe it or not, guys, China it's got two governments. You have the Republic of China, and then you have the CCP, right? So, and by the way, I did look into why many millions of Chinese are leaving China, and this is documented. It's been kind of, I guess the media doesn't cover this, but a lot of that has to do with China being the first to implement a full, straight out Skynet type of AI infrastructure in China, right? So China is going to be the first one to get slammed by the solar flash when the solar flash takes place, because China is already, the CC part of China, not the Republic, is already working with the Beast, the AI, super AI system. Xi Jinping could be a double agent. Yes, he could be a double agent. Hi, Ishmael. Is DC Trump and Cheyenne Mountain Trump working on the same accord or not? This is a good question from Infinite Healing Lights. Well, they are supposed to be. The Trump actor in the White House is supposed to be doing everything being told to him by the original Trump in Cheyenne Mountain. Okay, so they're supposed to be. As far as the actor Trump, um, as far as him not obeying or doing the right thing, I'm not sure about that. But what I do know is that he is supposed to pretty much execute everything that the real Trump tells him to do. I'm looking for questions. I see some minor questions, but
Read the Yeshua comments. That guy's like, I think he's helping us understand that he's
really,
come back Jesus.
but I do see a lot of chat going on here.
Yeshua else. I think he's who he claims to be, huh? I know it sounds impossible.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. This is a question from Graciela Montes. Question: Are we all born with schizophrenia, or is it something demonic? No, that's not demonic. Not at all. Again, um, the psychologists and psychiatrists are part of the evil empire. So when they label people with these certain things or terms, um, it's because they really don't understand these people, right? They have multiple personalities because, well, yeah, it's also that their brain could be fractured, their consciousness could be fractured, and so they shift from one personality to the next. But there is a cure for all that, and all of that's all of those remedies are coming. All of those remedies are coming. How often do you talk to Commander Valiant Thor, and what was the last thing he said? Can you send him a message to pick me up? This is from Jeff. I guess on a periodic basis, I think almost every day through meditation, or sometimes he drops information and transmissions when I least expect it. And the last thing he told me was that the files that the deep state destroyed in the floods of Texas are still in existence, and that we have nothing to worry about. So that's the last thing he told me as I was preparing uh, to give you guys this report.
So far from my investigation, there's nothing on the big beautiful bill where it says that it's bringing out med beds.
Okay, so my levy did investigate if the big beautiful bill has anything to do with bringing out the med beds.
So far, no.
She says it according to her research right now, no. But again, I did talk about it in the presentation. Well, actually, I did mention it in the presentation earlier that that was part of the binder. So it is included, by the way. You guys have to watch this from the beginning. Again, I would suggest watching this from the beginning because I know half the time you guys are chatting and you guys are missing really important information. So don't forget to watch this from the beginning. I do have another good question here. Ishmael, do you have special protection because of the information you are releasing?
Yeah.
I would have to say I have absolutely since day one, since I was a little kid. I've been you could say monitored and protected by not only the White Dragon Society, the Chinese elders, but also by the Galactics. And I am aware that the Alliance is very well aware of me, and they do offer me protection. So I am protected on all fronts, absolutely. Is Zoria of Hollow Earth good?
Zora.
Yeah, Zora is good.
Yes, yes.
Yes. When is the weather modification going to stop? Good question from Angel Lesser. Again, a lot of that technology was taken away from the Cabal a year ago in 2024. and that the only reason why that's still being implemented is because of the AI that is operating through all our technologies. They have the ability to cloud seed. They have the ability to manipulate the weather. Okay, so right now the alliance is working, and this is also part of phase 4, is what's called the complete dismantling of the AI grid that is manipulating all of these events. Yes, there are about 4 Trumps. I don't know about 5 or 6, as some people claim, but I am aware that there's about 4 Trumps. That is true.
Probably more.
Oh yes, happy 7/7 portal today. I forgot today's 7/7. This is a question from Steer BS Smile D. H. Rand Canyon and Egyptian artifacts real? I believe they
Grand
are.
Canyon and
Yes, they are real. Is Himalayan salt similar to the spiritual salt? This is a question from John Loftus. Loftus, I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Will all the systems go out with the blackout? This is a question from Marlene Faronan. Yes, all the negative systems, that is. Anything that was related and associated with the deep state and the AI negative grid. Yeah. The 7/7 portal means it is done. And it's also God's number, right? God created everything in 7. Well, they say 7 days, 7 days of the week, 7 super universes, 7 chakras. Well, technically, we have more than that. We have, I think, 22 chakras now, 13 original chakras, though. Peace, Ishmael. What can you say about the moon? This is a question from Veronica Domingo. Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The moon is an artificial construct. The original organic moon was used by Marduk, the Anunnaki son of Enki, to implode it over the Lemurian civilization 50,000 years ago. Thank you, Stargadian, for doing a wonderful job of making sure that we keep this conversation high vibe. Thank you. Thank you. Is Melania Trump also an actor? Doesn't look like her sometimes. Yeah. Again, the real Trump and the real Melania and the real Baron are in Cheyenne Mountain. Even Baron, guys, because he is a time traveler. So yeah, even Melania is an actor. Well, again, they put on a mask, so it looks exactly like her. But she is an actor as well. This is a question from Juan Whitenack. He says, will the monoliths that have been appearing around the world have any effect on, and what? Affect what? Okay. The monoliths, the ancient megalithic structures, if that's what you're referring to.
No, the new ones that are like a silver cube pole.
The new monoliths.
Monoliths are the new ones that appear in all over places that are just like a bright, like shiny object that's like a cube that's just stuck in the ground. Nobody knows why they're there. I have a feeling it has to do with them sending frequencies. That's just my guess.
All right. So according to my lovey, she knows what you're talking about. She says that these monoliths that are new, I was thinking in terms of ancient megalithic structures, but these monoliths, these new ones,
It's like a hole in the ground.
it's like a pole in the ground, right?
The cube, like
With-
alien shiny object.
Like an alien shiny
They're
object,
just in the middle of nowhere places.
and they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you believe that they're here to what? To
Just
activate the
I
frequency?
think they send frequencies. I'm not sure. That's
Okay,
my
so
best guess.
according to my other half, she believes that these monoliths are actually here to send frequencies.
Or they're monitoring.
Or they're monitoring something. Actually, let me look into it. I'll ask Commander Valiant Thor, and I'll have an answer for you guys regarding these monoliths. All right, on the next slide, Wednesday night, because Commander Valiant Thor knows everything. I'm sure he'll give me the right answer to that. Again, guys, if you guys want me to research anything, ask Commander Thor anything, please leave it in the comments. All right. Today's presentation was actually, you could say, it was per a request of one of the Galactic Jedis by the name of Leah, the Awakened Starseed. Okay. She wanted to know why the flood happened in Texas 2 nights ago. And so I was able to go deep into that and get the actual, real information regarding what's happening or what happened in Texas. So again, leave a lot of your comments, questions, anything you guys want to know about in the comments. I do read the comments and I will address it on the next live. Okay, guys?
Do you want another question?
Yeah. Do you have any good questions that you're seeing over there?
Yes. Karen K. Hi, Ishmael. How can solar flashes open up our dormant memories?
Oh, Karen K wants to know how solar flashes could open up our dormant memories. Well, because all memory is stored in our cellular membrane. So right now we're only using 4% of our full cellular membrane. So when the solar flares activate the other 96% of our cellular membrane, we begin to receive all our memories back from all our lifetimes. And also for those that serve within the secret space program, whether it was a 20-year and back or a 60-year and back, you will be flooded with all of your memories that happened in the off-world scenario. Okay, so let's see.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Amber Fox, are you Commander Valiant Thor in the future?
All right, Amber Fox is asking if I am Commander Valiant Thor in the future. I don't think so, but we are part of the same soul group. He is part of my ancestry. So we are connected genetically, yes. But is he me in the future? I am not sure. I don't think so because I believe he is his own person as I am my own person, but we are part of the same monad, the same oversoul.
He's an archangel in the future.
My lovey is saying that in the future I become an archangel. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Somebody's asking me, can we trust the podcast stating it's from the Pleiadians and Ishtar Commander? I would say use discernment, especially when it comes to receiving galactic intel. So make sure that you guys feel good about it, pray about it, meditate about it before you watch any podcasts regarding galactic transmissions or anything like that.
If you're worried about them being posers, make your own contact with them. Make your own.
Well, one of the things that I teach you guys in my courses is meditations that will allow you guys, or techniques, to make and establish your own connection to your galactic self, right? Which is you operating in the future. And that's what the galactic commanders are, right? They are star seeds that are existing here, like us, right? And they're also operating on motherships, right? They are just different versions of us. And so in that regard, I guess, yes, Commander Valiant Thor could be a Venusian version of me. I am not sure, but we are very close. Um, 'Cause Will the great solar flash restore the firmament? I'm not sure if it's what you mean because there was never no solid firmament. There was the Van Allen belts or a protective layer that protected the Earth from cosmic radiation, but you could go through it, right? I don't know. I don't believe in the flat Earth psyops. I'm sorry. Isn't JFK Jr. negative 48? This is a question from, I did hear that negative 48 came onto the scene a few years ago and then he left. We're not sure. I mean, Kerry Cassidy claims that JFK Jr. is 107. There are some people that claim that the real KF Jr. goes by the name of what? Forget, I have his book.
David Keith Quigley.
David Keith Quigley. So, I mean, I don't know. Who knows, guys? I guess we're all going to find out.
I think he's being protected until the time to be revealed. I
heard that too.
He's still being protected a lot.
I heard that too from Commander Valiant Thor that the real JFK Jr. is being protected until the Whiteheads completely take down the Cabal on a general surface level, not just covertly. I did see a message about Elon and his alleged creating or supposedly creating his own political party called the American Party. Yeah. Guys, that is all part of the distraction Project Veilfire, right? Project Veilfire. So it's not what we think. Don't believe the mainstream news. It is designed to distract the deep state.
When I heard about it, I just instinctually felt like he wants to take over the world.
Well, Elon does have a dark part, a dark side. I mean,
yeah, like
so
in a way that I can't really describe, but it just felt like a potent, like Elon doesn't want anyone mixing with what his agenda is, so he wants to create his own party. Yeah.
All right, but again, from what I was told is that it's part of a distraction, so I guess we're gonna have to find out. All right, let's continue here. Commander Valiant Thor, write another book. Karen Williams. Yeah, he's actually helping me write my new book, so that's all I'm gonna say. All right, let's continue here. Are they still going to put graphene in the water? No. Angel, this is a question from Angel Blesser. Angel Blesser, I actually talked about how all of the poisoning of our food supply and water, right, that was producing the natural spiritual salt is no longer happening. So I would suggest watching my live from Saturday night. So, but to answer your question, no, they're not. They're no longer going to be putting graphene in water. No. I mean, it was part of the agenda, but it's not being allowed by the Galactics.
You guys should watch the movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp. They put nano in the water. It's crazy. Transcendence with Johnny Depp. It's on YouTube.
Oh yes, I did watch a movie with my lovey last night called Transcendence with Johnny Depp. And it details exactly the implications of what would happen when they put black goo in everything, water, food. I mean, completely tries to replicate everyone on the earth. It's actually disclosure. So watch the movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp, and it'll pretty much reveal to you how black goo works, or what they call nanites, nanotech, which is self-assembling microbots. And they assemble really fast, right? I think in terms of science, they call it the science of within the realm of the science of claytronics, it's called programmable matter. That's what they call it. Anyways, all right, let's continue here. This is the final phase. Simple Life is asking me, how many total phases will there be? We just entered the beginning of phase 4. And again, if you watch my live from the beginning, I explain all the phases in detail and how each phase runs about anywhere from 6 months to a year. So yeah, just make sure you guys watch this from the beginning. And don't forget to share this with as many people as possible, guys. I would appreciate that. if so many different people are saying different things, and you guys want to know who to trust, this is where you guys have to practice your discernment, right? Go within yourself, ask your own spirit, your own higher self, what the truth is. And I even recommend that you guys always question everyone, including me. Always do your own research, right? I'm not claiming to be, some messiah figure or anything where it's like what I say is the truth. I'm just here reporting on what I get. But always do your own research, guys. Always do your own research. Verify things for yourself. I believe all the Marvel movies are disclosure, including Venom. That was part of the disclosure as well.
David Essington confirmed that you and I are twin flame archangels.
Yeah, I read that one. Well, Silva Vidal is asking me what changed. I came out with the video. Well, again, flat Earth is perceiving the Earth from a two-dimensional perspective from point A to point B, where there is no length or height. It's just flat surface. But in a three-dimensional hologram, which is what we exist in, the Earth is actually round. All right, it's round with no, you could say, canopy over it. Canopy. That's the best way to describe it. Yes, Operation Blue Sky, which is intended to clean up all the, stratosphere aerosol pollution. You could say chemtrailing, all of that stuff is in operation. Yes, and that explains why they were able to neutralize a lot of those metals that were supposed to really, us. So yeah, Operation Blue Sky. Apparently somebody's been watching all my lives. Thank you, thank you. I didn't realize that I've been broadcasting for almost 2 hours. I'll take one more question, guys. I'll take one more question. Let's see. God, time goes by super fast when you're just having a good time. Let's see. One more question. Let's see, which question am I going to pick for my last question?
Let's do one like a general one, not just like a certain person wants to know about their own life.
Oh, no, I'm trying to find a question that most people want answered. Oh, look, people are just now taking out their trash. We just took out ours this morning, so we're ahead of our neighbors. Let's see here.
Someone wants to know how you channel Valiant Thor.
It just happens naturally. When Valiant Thor has a message or a transmission for me, it just kind of comes through. And if I need to communicate with him or ask him questions, I go into a meditation. Okay. Or sometimes I could also just ask him questions, and if he's around, he'll give me the transmission on the spot. Let's see. One last question here. Okay, I'll take the super chat. Thank you, Jackie Baby. And I had a chance to meet who Jackie Baby is. She is in one of my classes. So I have a face to the name now. She says, thank you, Ishmael, for all you do. Ishmael, will you record your lecture? Please, if you charge to watch it, you could do good. And I don't think I'm going to record my lecture.
Oh, the one for Sedona?
Yeah, the one for Sedona on the 3rd of August. No, it's going to be a new, you could say, lecture, PowerPoint presentation.
You don't want to make it a live stream for people that are not going to be able to come?
So that lecture is only going to be for those that attend. So if you guys, that's why I'm announcing it weeks in advance. so that way you guys could attend. It's going to be super good. I'm going to break down a lot of information. And yeah, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. I already told them that. So I will be putting the link for that, guys. The only in-person event this year. Apparently, I'm not doing many conferences this year because I'm working on a lot of personal projects, but I will be there in the flesh at the Global Conscious or Global Center for Christ Consciousness on the 3rd of August, 2025, in about 4 weeks. I did say one more question. So are the Galactics cleaning our waters, both well and city, thinks Ishmael? And I believe the answer to that is yes, they are. And they have been for quite some time. Otherwise, our Earth would have been so polluted that it would have been impossible for us to continue living on this, on our habitat, on this surface, I mean. So with that in mind, may the God force be with you all, always. And I will see you guys in 2 nights with another update. All right. Bye.